Content in our minds is almost completely conditioned by media. This is an idea that's explored by DJ Spooky, aka Paul Miller, in the text Loops of Perception, Sampling Memory and the Semantic Web. These days, because we have this inherent need to adapt, remix, and then upload our ideas onto the web, it kind of means that we're living in this culture where the remix has become a form of currency. DJ Spooky describes it as an economy of ideas that we're living in now, which is quite an interesting concept. Not everything's based on money anymore. Everybody can get by posting their ideas online and getting responses to those, which links in nicely to DJ Spooky's idea of search engines becoming part of a remix culture, because the web, as he describes it as a semantic web, it's become a remix of all available information. So when you type something into Google or to Bing or something, it's remixing all that information and coming up with the most suitable options for you. So in the second text, which was an interview with Paul Miller, basically he spends a lot of time describing this idea of the cut. He describes one form of cut, he thinks of it as roads and highways cutting across landscapes. So it forms a physical cut across through communities, which then forms these class segregations and kind of adds to variation, especially he mentions within hip-hop. The second form of cut is obvious, the film cut. So obviously as soon as cutting bits of film together meant that films could become far more dynamic and tell stories in a far more effective way. This as well links into Eisenstein's form of montage of just having flashing images up on the screen cut into other parts of the film text. He ends this part of the text by mentioning the cut and paste culture, which I've actually mentioned in the class before. So because now this whole idea of sampling and stuff, it's taking bits of other people's music and adding them in to make our own songs out of them. Final thing I want to summarise was just the fact that he mentions how each generation differs from the next. So each generation kind of has these little rebellious behaviours, which mean that from the generation before, so say he mentions that people living in like a perfect village, like all the kids want to listen to Dr. Dre because it's kind of seen as rebellious and their parents would never listen to rap music. And it's also this he explains the desire for each generation to define themselves by the music that they listen to. So each generation kind of develops its own soundtrack over time, but I think also each generation develops kind of a life track. So it's not just the music that we listen to, but it's also the types of social media we use, or the types of foods we like to eat, or the types of clothes we like to wear. It kind of becomes this rebellious soundtrack throughout our daily lives. It's not just based on music.